Him early and so's SMA. Lockie's in the mix. It's Lachlan Kennedy in the J. Kennedy. Oh!
May 30th, 2026. Cleveland, Tennessee. A small regional meet called the Music City Track Carnival. Sam Blascowski, a former Division III college athlete from Wisconsin who worked at a regional airport to fund his professional career, runs 9.89 seconds and becomes the fastest white man in the history of the sport. The athletics world covers it for exactly 48 hours. Blascowski celebrates. He posts, he gives interviews, he thinks he has secured his place in history. Then July 28th, 2026 arrives. Glasgow, Scotland. The Commonwealth Games 100-meter final. It is raining. The track is wet. The temperature is sitting in the low 60s Fahrenheit. Conditions that professional sprinters universally avoid when chasing personal bests. And a 22-year-old Australian engineering student with an incurable autoimmune disease, wearing a medical device on his arm that monitors his blood sugar in real time while he competes, settles into his blocks alongside the fastest men in the Commonwealth. What happens over the next 9.85 seconds does not just produce a silver medal and an Australian record. It produces the fastest time any white man has ever run in the 130-year recorded history of the 100-meter sprint. And it wipes Sam Blaskowski's name out of the record book so completely that the 59 days between May 30th and July 28th feel less like a reign and more like a waiting room. Blascowski had the record for 59 days. He does not have it anymore. And the man who took it from him did it in the rain with diabetes, in only his third serious competitive 100-meter race. Kennedy only ran his first athletics race in 2020, 6 years from first competitive race to fastest white man in history. That timeline is not normal, and it is not gradual. It is an athlete who arrived late, developed fast, and has been accelerating ever since in a trajectory that shows no sign of leveling off. He became the second Australian ever to record a sub-10 when he clocked 9.98 seconds in Nairobi in 2025. Then the sport took something from him. Soreness around that time was diagnosed as a stress fracture in his lower back, forcing him to withdraw from the team for the Tokyo World Athletics Championships. The biggest stage the sport had offered him, gone before he could step onto it. The response to that injury, which would have derailed less resilient athletes for an entire season, was to come back in April 2026 at the Australian Athletics Championships in Sydney and produce something the sport had never seen on Australian soil. Kennedy stopped the clock at 9.96 seconds in the men's 100-meter heats, becoming the first Australian to break the 10-second barrier on home soil in an official meet. Then he did it again. Less than 24 hours after becoming the first Australian to break the 10-second barrier on home soil, Kennedy did it again in the final, clocking 9.96 seconds to win his maiden 100-meter national title. 2 sub-10 runs in 2 days at the same meet on home ground, recovering from a stress fracture. He told reporters afterward, "I didn't even really expect it. This is still only my second 100. I think I have so much more to give. It just felt easy." A man with type 1 diabetes, returning from a stress fracture, running 9.96 twice in 24 hours and describing it as easy. Glasgow is 3 months away. The conditions in Glasgow on July 28, 2026 were not ideal. Cool temperatures in the low 60s Fahrenheit, rain falling on the track, a wet surface that professional sprinters universally prefer to avoid when chasing personal bests. None of it mattered. Kennedy ran 9.94 with zero wind in his semifinal, already a personal best by 0.02 seconds, before running even faster in the final despite the rain. In the final itself, Kennedy started strongly and appeared in control through 60 meters. But Cameroon's Emmanuel Izeme charged late to take gold in a games record of 9.83. Kennedy initially believed he had done enough to win before spotting 9.85 on the scoreboard, a time that wiped out Patrick Johnson's long-standing national record of 9.93, which had stood for 23 years. Let the sequence of that night register completely. He ran a personal best in the semifinal. Then he ran 0.04 of a second faster in the final, in the rain, on a wet track, thinking he had won gold, discovering he had silver, and simultaneously discovering he had just become the fastest white man in the history of the sport. His 9.85 would have been good enough for 5th place at the Paris Olympic final. It would have beaten Noah Lyles for bronze at the 2025 Tokyo World Championships. Though the Jamaicans who ran first and second in Tokyo, Oblique Seville at 9.77 and Kashane Thompson at 9.82, did not compete in Glasgow. Kennedy said he had arrived intending to win and felt relief after delivering under pressure in difficult conditions. A man who came to Glasgow to win gold, got silver, ran the fastest time in white sprint history, and described it as relief. That is the competitive standard Lachlan Kennedy is operating at right now. The comparison between Kennedy and Sam Blaskowski is the most uncomfortable conversation in white sprint history right now. And it is a conversation the athletics media has almost entirely declined to have. Blascowski ran 9.89 in May 2026 at the Music City Track Carnival in Cleveland, Tennessee. Coming into 2026, the fastest white man in history was France's Christophe Lemaitre, who had run 9.92 in 2011, a record that stood for 15 years before Blaskowski broke it. The coverage of Blaskowski's 9.89 was extensive and immediate. What the coverage largely avoided was the context. Blaskowski trains under Dennis Mitchell at Star Athletics in Montverde, Florida. The same Dennis Mitchell who served a 2-year doping ban in 1998 admitted in legal proceedings that his coach Trevor Graham injected him with human growth hormone, and was recorded on undercover footage in 2017 apparently offering to help supply performance-enhancing drugs to athletes. The 0.16-second improvement Blaskowski made in his first professional season inside that gym generated significant uncomfortable questions that the sport declined to ask at the volume they deserved. Kennedy's 9.85 was produced under his coach Russ, while simultaneously studying a Bachelor of Engineering and Bachelor of Business at Griffith University. He manages type 1 diabetes every day of his life, has been running competitive 100 meters for 6 years, and produced his record in the rain at a major international championship against a world-class field. The contrast between the two men who have held the fastest white man record in 2026 is not subtle. One story comes with documented coaching controversies and unexplained improvement curves. The other comes with a glucose monitor, a stress fracture recovery, and an engineering degree. Here is the verdict on Lachlan Kennedy and what the 9.85 in Glasgow actually represents, stated as directly as the facts allow. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at 15 years old. He ran his first competitive race at 20. He suffered a stress fracture that cost him the Tokyo World Championships. He came back and ran 9.96 twice in 24 hours at the Australian Championships. Then he went to Glasgow in the rain and ran 9.85, the fastest time a white man has ever run, the fastest time a type 1 diabetic has ever run, a time that would have placed him 5th at the Paris Olympics and beaten Noah Lyles for bronze at the Tokyo World Championships. He took the fastest white man record from Sam Blaskowski in 59 days, doing it in conditions Blaskowski's Tennessee time trial never had to navigate, against a Commonwealth Games field that included the man who ran 9.83 for gold and multiple sub-9.91 performances in the same final. He has said his pure drive is to prove that this condition will not stop him from doing his best. On July 28, 2026, in Glasgow, in the rain, with a glucose monitor visible on his arm, Lachlan Kennedy proved it in the most definitive language available to any athlete: the stopwatch. The record is his. The trajectory says it is not finished moving, and Sam Blaskowski, wherever he is watching from, already knows the answer to the question the record book just asked him.